And what these are, this is for a number of years in the Lions Club. And I'll try to show the chevron. Here is a nice letter that is going to be sent to each of these lions whose name I'm going to call, but I'm going to move it up and see if you can see the little chevron there that's right kind of in a little bag. So all of this will be coming your way. And so let me begin then. We are for 10 years as a lion. It says, congratulations on completing 10 years as a lion. We commemorate and recognize your years of service. I am presenting you with the enclosed milestone chevron award. And there is more very appropriate language in the letter. I will just read that much of it, but congratulations. And the 10-year award goes to our dear lion, Lily Gilligan. So we send our congratulations to Lily, and Lily is not in the best of health, so we send her our best health-wise also. Let me proceed then to 15 years as a lion, and this goes to Lion Mim Ruby. Congratulations on completing 15 years as a lion. So again, here we will present the chevron. Yeah, there it is. That goes on the pin, of course, on your lion's pin. So congratulations to Lion Mim. And also congratulations on completing 15 years as a lion to Lion Ron Ruby. So Ron and Mim, so there's a double congratulations in that household. All right. And to Lion Drew Sherburl, I believe that's the way you pronounce it, Sherburl, on completing 20 years as a lion. So, and the reason I'm showing these little chevrons is because they kind of change with a number of years. So congratulations to Lion Drew. Okay, just a couple of more.
Rudy,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We do have Norman's guest here with us. George Bone has just joined us.
Okay, I will catch up with him just a moment, but say welcome to Norman's guest, and happy to have you join our meeting. Thank you, Leonor. And here we have Rosie Babin, completing 25 years as a lion. So congratulations to Lion Rosie. It's appropriate that we mention her name here as we approach Veterans Day, because her son was wounded in the Middle East several years ago and has had several health issues, but is living now in Round Rock. But let me show you Rose. Let me see, where are you? Yeah, see if I can. I'm not doing too well with this.
No, you should have done the screen.
Okay, there, maybe that's it. Oh, well, it's not even the right side showing. Okay.
Okay.
Should have practiced this a little bit more carefully. Anyway, congratulations to all our lions for their number of years in lionism. And we will be mailing these to you, and you'll be receiving them again through the mail. Okay, let's see what we're looking at now. Oh, and other announcements. Let me announce probably the obvious here. We're in November, of course, and December is usually, excuse me, it's usually when we have our holiday party. This is a different kind of year, and this year we are not going to be able to have a gathering as we've enjoyed in the past. in our holiday party festivity or festival. So I wanted, like I said, that's probably everybody already knew that, but we just wanted to make that official announcement. And let me see, we have, oh, and with that, we're also needing to, the board of directors is considering dates for the other fundraisers that we've had, such as the casino night and the sporting clay. We are looking at June, July, August, September, dates that will be safer away from the COVID-19 that we're still having to live with. So those are tentative timeline for the casino night and sporting clay. That is, we're really looking about 6 or 7 months down the road on that. All right. With the idea that our fundraisers are really, except for the one that we've just finished with our rose sale, that we are in a season when we normally, as a club, want to contribute to different organizations, either through food contributions or toys. And that leads me to ask Ann, is Lion Ann ready? If you are, could you tell us about the Blue Santa opportunity?
Yes, Rudy, thank you very much. Leonore is just put up on our screen. We're kicking off today our Blue Santa food and toy drive. And I think many of you know that Blue Santa usually gets a lot of toys from the Chewy's Children Giving to Children parade, and that has been canceled because of the pandemic. And this year, because of COVID, Blue Santa is not going to give toys and food, but instead give gift cards. And their goal is to raise $500,000 so that they can serve 20,000 children and 12,000 families. And for our club, in the past several years, we have had a toy drive for Blue Santa. And so our goal for this year is to contribute $750 or more. And so I hope that you will be able to contribute. And I know there have been some questions about, the safety of giving money to the recipients. And I will say, I think Blue Santa is doing an excellent job to try to make sure that the money is used the way that it is intended. They will be giving toys only gift cards to Target, Walmart, and Walgreens. There's one toy gift card per child in the family from infants to age 14. But those cards can only be used for toys. The food gift cards will only be used for non-taxable food items. The cards are for HEB, and so that means they cannot purchase alcohol or tobacco products. The idea is that the cards will be distributed to families that have registered with Blue Santa, and when they come to pick up their cards in person, they will double check the identity, and if someone just shows up and tries to get a card, that won't be happening. And so there are two ways that you can contribute to the drive. One is you can write a check to Austin Founder Lions Club Activity Fund. Note that it is for Blue Santa, and you can mail it to our P.O. box, which is on the screen and is on the flyer that we're going to be emailing to each of you. The other way is if you want to use a debit or credit card or PayPal, you can visit the Blue Santa website, and right on that page, it says like donate now. And the website will then take you to the donation page, and it is secure. And so you can make an online donation if you prefer. And we are trying to get all of the money in by the 19th of November. And that will then give time for us to get the money to Blue Santa. And they're planning to distribute those cards right after Thanksgiving. So please give as much as you can feel comfortable. And if you have any questions for me, I'll try to answer them. Thank you, Rudy.
All right, thank you. And so that's important. That's an important function that we normally do during the holiday season. And I hope that we will be able to contribute through a check or through whatever means, financial means may be easy for us. So it's November the 19th. Is the date that we're looking at, and our goal is $750. Hopefully we can meet that and even surpass it. So thank you, Ann. So we'll be reminding ourselves about that. Okay, moving on to birthdays. We have 3 birthdays this week, and on November the 4th, let's see, today's the 5th, so this would have been yesterday. Happy birthday to Mim Ruby. Her birthday was November the 4th. Today, the 5th, we have a birthday, Bob Thornhoff. I'll send a greetings to Bob by email, and he is working today and off away from the screen. So we still wish Bob a happy birthday today. And then coming up Sunday, November the 8th, Tom Orlando. So Lion Tom, so all 3, we wish each of you a happy birthday and have fun. All right, we are ready to move on with our agenda item.
Blind Rudy, you missed one.
Yes.
Sid
Yes.
Popinski has a birthday on the 8th.
I'm sorry, say again.
Sid Popinski has a birthday on November 8th.
I thank you very much. I missed that on my notes. So we're wishing Lion Sid a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, there she is. Oh, wow. Well protected by that big lion in the background. Okay, so thank you for that reminder. Okay, so we're going to move on the agenda, and we now are going to bring back a tradition from the Lions, and that is the tail twister. And Scott Hendricks, Lion Scott, if you will unmute yourself and join us at this time.
Lion Scott is not here.
Oh, Lion Scott is not here. Okay, thank you, Lenore.
We can fine him for not being here.
Oh, my. Okay, so we may have to pass on that. And we'll catch up with Lion Scott. And like Leonore says, there's got to be some penalty there for the tail twister not being here to entertain us, you might say. So before we get into our program, let me just say a couple of words about the rose sale. Let me start by saying thank you to everyone for making our Rose Day sale very successful. The tally is still being completed for the funds that were brought in. The checks that were written are still coming in, and so all of that is still being tallied. And so next Thursday we will have a little bit more formal recognition of the number of roses that were sold, the amount that was raised, because this was a fundraiser. But let me say thank you to all of you that participated, all of you that sold roses, that delivered roses, packaged roses. I see some visuals there coming up, and there we go. There's that catches the flavor a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes with a rose sale. But we will spend and recognize our rose sale a little bit more formally next Thursday. So thank you again to everyone that has participated, and we will pick it up again at this time next week. And with that, I believe we are ready to move into our program. So I believe, let's see, Norman, can you introduce our speaker, and then we'll get on with our program, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Rudy. It's a real pleasure for me to be able to use this opportunity to introduce a rather unique individual in our Austin community. I'm talking about basically Glenn Towery is a decorated Vietnam combat veteran of the United States Navy, who is also an award-winning screenplay writer, filmmaker, actor, composer, singer, and artist. He presently serves as the chairman of the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel and the Austin Veteran Arts Festival. Both are organizations that he founded. An award-winning screenplay writer, director, and editor in 1997, Glenn graduated from his alma mater, Columbia College Hollywood in Los Angeles, earning a Bachelor of Arts as a cinema major and a minor in television broadcasting. He became the first African-American valedictorian in its 60-year history in 1997. To my great delight, I was fortunate enough last year to attend the Austin Veteran Arts Festival, and it's the first opportunity for me to meet Glenn. They had performers at the basically Austin ISD Performing Arts Center at Mueller Lake. What a wonderful opportunity it was to witness the musical, dance, and art talents of some of our Austin area veterans who were sponsored by Glenn's organization. Today, Glenn will share a little about the history and the goals of the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel and their vision for the future. It is my honor and privilege to introduce Glenn Towery to the Austin Founder Lions Club to present to you all hands on deck to stop veteran suicide in America. Thank you.
I need you to unmute, Glenn, please.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm so honored to be here at the world's oldest Lions Club. You know, I've seen Lions Club, pass by, seen the signs, but for some reason, I never really knew what you do. And I'm just honored to be here because I know that you're doing the work, the unseen work a lot of time that people can't see. I'm also a member of Rotary, so I know a little bit about this. So thank you for your service that you provide. So here we are. I'm gonna share with you a PowerPoint that I created for this, but first I just wanted to say a few things. Veteran suicide is an issue that veterans, I should say, and military suicide often forget about. It only, for us veterans, what happens is we only get most of the news and get that kind of public attention during Veterans Day. However, veteran suicide happens every day. And believe me when I tell you, it is devastating when it occurs. Veterans are a curious type of people. A lot of times veterans will not talk about what is bothering them. And so, in many instances, when a veteran commits suicide, it is very shocking to the family because in many ways, they had no idea that it was coming. So I created the channel because I realized that veterans needed an outlet because we're trained in boot camp. We're trained as soldiers, not to show weakness, not to show fear, to suck it up. That's for both men and women. And that works in the military, but that training doesn't work so well when you get back home. So on that note, let me see if I can remember my instructions. We're going to go to the first part of this. There it is. And I'm going to share this. So, Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel, and you see also the Austin Veteran Art Festival. I just wanted to explain this to you. The Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel is the nonprofit 501c3 organization that created the Austin Veteran Arts Festival. So these are two prospective logos. So you think of them really as one organization. The Austin Veterans Arts Festival, or AVA Fest, is an offshoot of the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel. And they both have been created to save veteran lives. I'd like to play a few minutes of a video for you.
I did 11 years in the Army, 3 tours to Iraq. After the military, I had some trouble. Music.
Does your video have sound, Glenn?
You can't hear it?
I got involved.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to do something. Stop your share at the moment, and you're going to have to reshare that. You're going to have to apply the sound.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh.
Stop your share as you did before.
Okay, stop the share.
Yes, yeah. And now when you click share screen, there's going to be an option to the left of your window that popped up that says share sound at the bottom, at the lower left corner. The screen that just popped up, a checkbox. Thank you, Mark.
Oh yeah, share sound. Share.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, and now you can hit share again, and we'll be able to hear the sound from the video.
Oh, so now it's asking me for my password. Okay. Okay.
All right, now we should
Can
be
you hear
able to
me?
hear the sound. Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me back it up. Can you hear it?
Not yet, because you haven't started to play it
Again,
yet.
music experience with them. I played
Perfect.
their grand opening last year in November, and they invited me out, and I'm happy to be here. This song is called LRK.
This is an Iraq, Afghanistan veteran.
Yeah. I hear the choppers coming. They're hovering overhead. They come to get the wounded. They come to get the dead. They come to bring me ammo and bring the bigger guns. We may have won the battle. The war's just begun. And we're singing left, right, left, right, left, right, kill. Left, right, you know I will. Some people go to college. Some are going to dental school. Some are saving forests. Some are doing laps in pools. I joined the U.S. Army when I was just a buck. I did a lot of push-ups, got a rifle in the ruck. We're singing, hey, hey, and Captain Jack, meet me down by the railroad track. with that whiskey in your hand. You're gonna be a drinking man. Heel to torn marching, leaving footprints in the sand. And now I sing about them while I'm rocking in the band. I even saw a camel, he was sitting in the shade. He was watching the parade, getting paid, he got it made. He's singing 1, 2, 3 1/4. Somebody, anybody, give me some water. Falling on your sergeant with your weapon in your hand, hot and ready, locked and loaded, doing shooting in the sand. Eyes on your target, you're steady taking aim. Fire will confirm the kill, you learn to live with shame. We're singing, hey, hey, Captain Jack, meet me down by the railroad track. With that weapon in your hand, you're gonna be a killing man.
Okay, so I just wanted you to hear a little bit from Sean. Sean Makra is a veteran who had a lot of problems when he came back home. And he actually tried to do away with himself. He found music and he found a way to express himself through music, and music is art. And he was able to he's able to express himself through music in a way to where now he does not have that same suicidal ideation that he had before. So that's sort of the premise that the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel and Ava Fest is founded on that kind of a principle. What PTSD does, and you want to know how art heals veterans, PTSD, what it does is it forces the veteran or a person who has experienced trauma back to the moment, the very second that when that trauma occurred. And they relive it with most of that trauma trilling through their body, feeling and experiencing the smells, the sounds. It's so real sometimes. And what art does is allows veterans to be able to still process that what they went through, but without all of that emotional trauma. And that's the healing aspect of art. The deleterious bad aspect of PTSD is when it affects you in such a way as that you feel these things all the time, and it's inescapable, and you can't escape it no matter what you do, and you're just feeling this way all the time. And that, my friends, is what drives many veterans to killing themselves. It truly is. So, how art heals veterans is by giving veterans an outlet to express themselves that gets out those feelings, those memories in a way that is positive rather than in a way that makes them feel bad. My little testimony is, this is a clock that I painted called Life. And life is a clock that I painted to commemorate a decision that I made about 45 years ago. I had already tried to kill myself, and the resulting attempt left me sick and humiliated for days. I told myself if I ever tried to do it again, I must do it in a way that I would not suffer should I survive the attempt, because I was in pain. Once again, the day came when I was feeling suicidal. I asked myself at that very moment to choose whether I wanted to live or die. And I was nervous. I was in pretty bad mental, emotional condition at that time and feeling hopeless. It was in the early 1980s, and there was no such thing as PTSD back then. PTSD had not been discovered. It had, and as a diagnosable disease by the VA. After waking in the morning and moments of early morning, I prayed on it and decided that to live would be more heroic than killing myself, no matter what. So I've had suicidal thoughts since that day, and although I suffered greatly mentally and emotionally, I have not attempted to harm or kill myself. Years later, in 2012, I painted this clock to commemorate choosing life. So this is my life clock. And whenever I'm having, thoughts of suicide, or if my feelings, my emotions get to me a little bit too much, I go look at this clock, and it reminds me of a lot of very positive things. So life is what my clock art is all about, and why I began to see that I had to begin to spread the curative powers of art to other veterans. It's so powerful. Art is being used by veterans organizations and the departments of Veterans Affairs all over this nation. Art is being used by the United States military and the DOD, the Department of Defense. It really is. Art is being used by public mental health services nationwide, and art is being used by the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel. Art is used to treat PTSD, anxiety, hypertension, and depression, symptoms that often lead to attempts of suicide. Art can save veterans and civilians from killing themselves. It's been proven. So the VSP channel, which founded the AVA Fest, was founded in 2015. The Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel, when it was founded, when I went to the Texas Department of the VFW, and I spoke my idea to the leadership there. At the time, it was Dan West, who is now the president. He was the adjutant at the time, but now he is the commander of the Texas VFW. We're still very good friends. John Spar, who was the 2013 Texas State Commander of the VFW, after I spoke with him, decided to join me to assist in the creation and for the nonprofit status and for the bylaws of the channel in late 2014. I had never done anything like this before, but I was determined to get it done. And so John provided a lot of leadership and a lot of knowledge. And on January 16, 2015, the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel became an official tax-exempted nonprofit organization. We still had a long ways to go at that point, but we were there. And there were 10 veterans, and I haven't named them all, who were part of the founding, who were the board of directors when it was founded. John Spar served as the organization's first vice chairman. And he stayed with us for about 18 months. And then he went on. He was like a Johnny Appleseed. And he said, okay, Glenn, you got this. I said, but he said, you got this. If you need any advice, give me a call. But I'm moving on to other things. I'm still the chairman of the organization to this day. Okay, so our present board of directors, myself, Tracy Green is a Purple Heart veteran. She was wounded in Afghanistan. She's very well known. You probably have seen some posters, and you probably have seen her speak in the news. Judge Billy Ray Stubblefield is a board member. He gives, we're trying right now to put together a program that's going to help veterans that run astray of the law because of the fact that they have PTSD. Wilbert Forbes is the past director of the Maryland Department of VA, and he's a veteran. And Elizabeth Joy is a veteran. She is a combat veteran, Afghanistan combat veteran. She flew helicopters in Afghanistan and was in combat. Dr. Alicia Baker Rogers, a veteran, is also on our board. She didn't serve in any wars, but she worked with a lot of veterans who suffer with PTSD. Charles Eggleston, he is a veteran, and he is on executive board of the Military Order of the Purple Heart National Organization. Oh, I forgot to mention that Tracy Green is the, I believe, that she is the chairman of the Texas State Military Order of the Purple Hearts as well. Gary Bugnacki is a veteran, a radio announcer, very well known for his radio shows that he's done for veterans. And Juanita Towery is a patriot. That's my wife. Very supportive. So our mission statement, the VSP channel, so Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel, reason why we call ourselves that is that we are a channel. We have a channel that runs 24 hours a day on our website. So right now we're a website channel, but our goal is to become more than just a website channel. Our goal is to become a prominent channel for veterans and their family members throughout the United States. We feel that we are looking at the kind of shows that we want to do are different from a lot of the things that you would see on TV. We want to do shows that actually message healthy messages to people and give them referral. But our mission statement is as follows. We have created ourselves to work towards improving the lives of America's veterans, their family members, and supporters by creating a nationwide broadcast channel that will concern itself with producing and broadcasting shows with the potential for healing and educating through entertainment. That's kind of innovative. By also creating referral shows and information online while maintaining the anonymity of its viewers. The VSP channel strives to utilize the arts to promote healing in America's veterans and military personnel nationwide in order to treat the conditions that form the basis for veteran and military suicide. Now, I just want to explain to you, if you've never been on a mental health medication, sometimes the medicine that you take, it feels like it's not really getting rid of your problem. It's masking it like a drug. The problem is still underneath this other feeling that you have now that this drug is giving you. And if you're only, which is the case of many veterans, if you're only taking the medication, but you're not seeking mental health therapy, you're not doing the other things that are important, it's my belief that, from my own personal experience, that these medications after a while begin to work to the detriment of the veteran. I believe these medications that you're on are intended to be used by other means. One great thing about the arts, I've been off of medications now for 7 years. When I am feeling those feelings, I've learned that I can mitigate a lot of those feelings through art. I go and I paint. I sing a song, I write a song. I play some music. I doodle, just doodling. And just by that process, it takes me away from the thing that PTSD dwells on, which is the past. And it makes me present, because that's what PTSD wants to do. It wants to take the veterans back into the past. And once you're back in the past, there is virtually no escape in the present. But if you're present dealing with the past, then for some reason, you're not consequentially affected by the symptoms of PTSD. So now there are 18.8 million veterans living in the United States today. 7.6% of that population, they are predominantly male, 91.6%. And though the number of female veterans is on the rise, veterans tend to be older than non-veterans. In 2013, that's when I moved here to Round Rock, there were 22 million veterans alive. Veterans have died at an alarming rate since 2013. And in 7 years, that's approximately 4 million veterans have died in the past 7 years. Now, that doesn't mean that 4 million veterans have committed suicide. We have a lot of World War II veterans that have expired. Almost all of them are gone now. We have a lot of Vietnam veterans who are passing simply of things like old age. But I will tell you that many of these veterans have succumbed to suicide, much more than we know. There's been a new VA study, and that new VA study claims that 20 veterans a day commit suicide. 20, that's what they say. It used to be 22. And it bothered me that the VA did their study and backed it up to veterans. 2 veterans. Okay. However, when I dug deeper into what was going on, I went and I checked the CDC reports. The CDC reports say that all statistics on suicide are skewed by as much as 10 to 50%. So why is that? How could the VA or statistics be skewed by anywhere from 10 to 50%? It's because there is no national policy on ruling a death a suicide. Each state has its own rules, its own guidelines as how to say that something is a suicide and something is not. So if that is true, you could actually say that more than 30 veterans a day are committing suicide, but at 22 per day, let's look at that. That's 8,030 suicides of veterans a year. In 10 years, that's 80,300 veterans killing themselves. Just at 22. That's an army. That's a big army. $18 million American veterans only. But guess what? Only 8.92 million veterans utilize the VA healthcare system. That's less than half of the veterans utilizing the VA healthcare system. And that goes to the question as to why we as a channel have chosen to allow veterans who take advantage of our services to remain anonymous. If they want us to know that they're there, we have different ways of tracking them, but we don't track anybody's address. But if they want us to know that they're there, they can contact us and let us know, hey, I came to the channel, I really enjoyed it. But one of the reasons why we have that is because there are many veterans that are distrustful. They do not want anyone to know that they are seeking assistance for a mental health issue. For some veterans, that is a big deal. Many of you who know veterans, if you talk to them, you'll discover, and there's a reason for that. Anonymity of the VSP channel, like I said, some veterans don't want the world to know that they need help. Often veterans' families are surprised when a veteran commits suicide. Veterans sometimes see mental illness as a weakness, and it does not fit their image of themselves to admit that they are vulnerable and suffering from PTSD. Next to that, you see, I just put this in here for good measure, the Department of Defense in 2015, after we put up our website just shot off like, you wouldn't believe it. In about 6 weeks, we had 500,000 views veterans coming to our channel. And it got the notice of the Department of Defense, a guy by the name of Roland Murphy who works for them. And they came in and they studied what we were doing and how we were going about doing it. And even though I'm the chairman, I don't take total credit for how our channel came out and how well it attracts veterans. It was the veterans on our board that we sat and we talked about what was there and what should be there. And that's what we created. And so all of us created this channel together. So we talked about the aftershock of war and when but we didn't talk about self-medication. So I put this in terms of me, but I want to tell you that a lot of times if you see a veteran on the street, homeless, drunk, on drugs of their own choosing, a lot of times these people, I won't say all the time, but a great deal of the time, I'd say at least half of the time, these people, these veterans are dealing with PTSD issues. And because they won't go seek help at the VA, they self-medicate. Alcohol, they use alcohol to self-medicate, to help them forget, to lessen the pain that they're feeling inside. And, you know, because I've experienced, I can share with you a little bit what that pain feels like. It feels like, if you can imagine, it feels like something terrible is about to happen to you all the time. It's not just fear. It's like a combination of fear and loathing, a combination of an anxiety that something could happen at any moment. And can you imagine living your life feeling that all the time, and it's inescapable? You can't get away from it. You're just feeling that. And in many instances, you don't know why. So then you seek, you know, something to try to help you. So that's what I did when I first came back. I looked for the bottom of the bottle. I wanted to try not to feel what I was feeling inside, but there was no escape. But I did find some art. I became an actor. I took acting workshops in Los Angeles. I didn't know I was taking it for relief at the time, but I always wanted to play the heavy roles. I always wanted to play the roles where I was angry, or I always wanted to play the roles where I cried, or I wanted to play the roles that gave me a release. And that's how in acting, in theater, that's how acting can be therapeutic for veterans suffering with PTSD. So inevitably, I graduated towards the more emotional roles. I said that. Little did I know at the time, I was using the arts as a form of therapy. I always felt better after doing a highly emotionally charged scene or monologue, but at the time, I didn't know why. I self-medicated with drugs, including marijuana, cocaine, Valium, and alcohol, anything that can make the pain and hollowness I felt inside. But one thing I did do that many veterans don't, I went to the VA. And it was there at the VA that they made me aware, it's first time, because I thought it was just me. I thought I was just not a very good person. I thought that I just was, you know, kind of like no good, just kind of like just destined to be a bum. I did not know I had PTSD until I was diagnosed with it. And that's the thing. You have a lot of veterans that are suffering and they don't know it. So what is the AVA Fest and why was it created? The Austin Veteran Arts Festival was created in 2017. It is a festival that but it took us 2 years to put it up. We couldn't put it up until 2019 because it took so much planning. but it ran when we put up from October 12th to November 16th, and that's where I met Norman. And thank you, Norman, for coming to that show. It was a long running festival. They tell me it was the longest running festival ever to take place in the city of Austin, Texas. And when we first opened, you came to the opening day, Norman, it was a bumpy ride, you know, but as we continued to attack and put this festival together, it grew and it grew and it grew until we could see, you know, the comments from the veterans, the enjoyment in their faces, the relief that it was giving a lot of veterans and their families, because our festival is set up for people who not only paint, but sing, act, dance, and it encompasses many forms of the arts, because any of those forms of the arts are good to practice. And it not only allows for veterans to participate, but veterans' family members. And we did it that way because you have many veterans that'll go, arts, smarts, I'm not going to deal with that. But you know what? They'll participate if their daughter or their wife or their brother or their sister or someone they love is participating. And if we can get them there, we figured we can get them, you know, we have a shot at getting them involved and messaging them and letting them know about the channel and letting them know how art, even if they just doodle, can be of benefit to them. So the festival, the mission statement of the festival is right there in yellow: healing veterans using the arts and community. Only thing missing is family. And you'd be amazed when people came out, when the veterans saw the people come out to the shows and watch them perform. It was a great sense of love and caring for those veterans that were participating. And the exchange between them and the community was just awesome. And they would come down off of the stage afterwards and they would talk and they would party and they would get these accolades and they would get these, you know, it was just a very powerful thing. So in the Ava Fest, we produced 24 art exhibits, 3 full-length theatrical plays, an opening day concert, which Norman came to, which was at the AISD Performing Arts Center. We had performances of bands that featured and showcased veteran talent at nightclubs and other venues throughout the city of Austin for more than a month. We had a comedy showcase, which I'm going to send to you guys so you can see it, you know, but be prepared. It's really funny, but it's almost 2 hours long, but it's really funny. And that's a Crosshairs comedy concert. And it featured 4 actual veteran comedians that are veterans, and 1 patriot as a veteran's family member. Why are the arts effective against PTSD? Well, I went over that kind of early, but so just to kind of revive, PTSD is the most devastating to those who suffer because it takes the sufferer back to the past to relive often violent and torturous memories from their past. As they relive these traumatic experiences, the emotional content of what they felt is as real as when it happened, in lesser or in some cases greater degrees than when the original event occurred. Art allows sufferers of PTSD to deal with these pains and memories in a manner that allows them not to personalize the incidents that they went through because they are expressing it through art. Art is a form of meditation, a buffer against emotional outrage in every form, whether it be singing, painting, dancing, writing, composing, telling jokes, acting, or simply doodling on a piece of paper. Art is a way of safely expressing what is felt deep down inside. And that is how art is healing. So the city of Austin, Texas has asked the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel to do AVA Fest 2021. They asked us to do AVA Fest 2020, but we got knocked out by the pandemic. So we weren't prepared and we just kind of stopped, but we decided we needed to bring this festival back. They asked us, what could we do for 2021? So next year's festival is going to be primarily online. We're going to have art exhibits online. We're going to have performances online of every kind. So we're still figuring out exactly how we're going to do it, but it should be interesting. and it should be fun. And it should even allow even many more veterans to participate. Supporters and sponsors of the VSP channel and Ava Fest. There'll be some people that'll be angry because I didn't get everybody's names in here. I was, doing this before this meeting, but we got Mayor Steve Adler, Congressman Lloyd, I can't think of the last name, Texas Veterans Commission, Austin City Council, AISD, Austin City College, the VFW, the Governor Greg Abbott sent us greetings, and we actually held our closing ceremony on November 16, 2019 at the governor's at the downtown at the Capitol building, which they gave us for free. And there was an art exhibit there. Travis County Veterans Office, the American Legion, AMVETS, Austin Veteran Affairs Commission, who worked very, very closely with us and were instrumental in helping us to get our theaters from the city free. The City of Austin Parks and Recreations Department, museums and cultural centers. They gave us 4 of them for the festival. Military Order of the Purple Heart is the staunch supporter of our organization. As I told you, one of their executive members, Mr. Charles Eggleston, is on our board as well as on their board. Veterans United Home Loans, the largest home loans institution for veterans in the United States. Georgetown Rotary Club, and there's more. The list just goes on. I couldn't think of all of them, and I'm going to have to, really fix that. So that's basically my presentation to you. I hope that it's been informative, and I hope that you enjoyed what I have to say. If we have time, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, I'll do my best to answer them.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. We definitely appreciate the veterans, and learning more about their situation will help us with our understanding. But let me open it up for questions. If you have a question, would you raise your hand, please?
We have Gaylord and Mac and Gloria beside you. Gaylord, go ahead.
Mr. Towery, you may have covered this, but I have a lot of veterans in my family and of varied experiences, but how do I tell them if they're interested in being able to access the VSP channel? And if not, where are you in the process of the public being able to access the VSP channel?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So what I'm going to do after this meeting is I'm going to send a link directly to the channel. I'm going to send it to Norman, and I'm going to ask Norman if he will send it to all of you. And when you click on this link, what it'll take you directly to the channel. You'll be on the website, and you'll be able to see our 24-hour channel that's running. It's in a continuous loop. We've got about 72 hours of information there, shows, feel good stuff. If you look at it, even if you're not a veteran, it'll make you feel good. And that's the whole idea. Sometimes people get in a rut and they need to laugh, and they'll forget about that rut that they're in, or they need to hear a statement of love or concern from the community. So to answer your question, I will be sending that link. My board and I, we just talked about it because there's no Veterans Day parade this year. And so we're putting out we're asking veterans, in lieu of not being able to go to Veterans Parade, to come and visit the channel. And also we're creating new stuff that I will also send.
Thank you.
Thank
Mac,
you.
go ahead, Mac. Mac?
Yeah. Thanks, Glenn. That was, I appreciate what you do. That's really great. I wondered if you could tell me a little bit about your Navy career. You were in Vietnam, and if it's not too painful, but if it's therapeutic, let's just go right ahead.
Well, I
Much
make no
in the
bones
Navy.
about my Navy career. I went through some problems in the Navy because of the racism that was there, and this was happening during um, during the fact that we were actually in combat. And as a result, because I was a quartermaster, a navigator. I'd never been trained in ordnance, um, except for the basic training they give you in boot camp. You know, I could fire a handgun, and I had qualified with that. And I had to qualify with the rifle and the M16 and all of that in boot camp. But when I got out, I'm humping these big 6 millimeter shells where we're shooting, and they were leaking, and I got very, very sick. They were leaking a very toxic um, powder that was being fired into positions in Vietnam. And as a result, I got very, very sick. And I wound up being, I had to be medevac from my ship to the Philippines. And after I got in the Philippines, I had to be medevac to the United States. And after I got back home, I'd been in the Navy. I signed up for 4 years. I've been in the Navy a good almost 2 years. And they basically told me that my service was no longer needed. So I was honorably discharged from the Navy, and I began the process of learning to live again as a civilian in America. That's basically it.
Thank you, Glenn. We have another question from Gloria and then Fred as well.
Mine is not a question. I just wanted to mention that I have a veteran sitting right next to me here on my left, and I wonder how many other veterans are on the screen. Could you ask them to raise their hand?
Any other veterans that?
We have Greg Thompson, and that I see raising his hand, and John Wisser as well.
Chuck Mandelbaum.
Thank
Chuck,
you all
yes.
for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service.
I want to say this about
Thank
veterans,
you.
and people have to understand just how special veterans are. These are people who say, I will volunteer to go and put my life at risk because I love people I have never seen, simply because they are Americans. And there is no greater love.
That's very true. Fred, please go ahead.
Yes, yeah. I hope you can hear me this time. Thank you, Glenn, for your good presentation. It's very informative for a foreigner like myself who is here. I've always had a very soft spot for the veterans. And when I keep hearing all these horror stories about healthcare, and it just breaks my heart. I'm just curious about two things. We had the veterans of the Second World War, and they came back and they kind of like seemed to do well. And then when I look at the other veterans of the other wars that followed, the situation has not really been good, so easy for them in dealing with the post-war situations. So what happened between that? What explains that? So I'm just curious about that. I come from Uganda, and our country is trying to pacify Somalia. After America went out, our army is there trying to do this work. And when they come back, they have had a lot of problems. And I wrote an opinion editorial in our national newspaper asking, can't we find something for the veterans who are coming back and they are getting these kinds of challenge? But it's not something that we're really thinking about at this time. But just help me explain Second World War veterans and then the veterans of the other wars.
Well, I'll try. There were two different circumstances. And World War II veterans, they went to join a war that they knew that they were fighting against, they absolutely knew they were fighting against a specific evil, an evil intent to take over the world. And they knew that even their own liberties, the liberties that we enjoy as Americans based on the Constitution, were at stake. They called them the Great Generation. And when they went, there were still a lot of problems, especially for our African American soldiers, because the American military was segregated. The Black soldiers did not serve with the white soldiers, but they all did many of the same things. So to answer your question, when during World War II, when people came back from serving, when that war was over and they came back victorious, then everybody was celebrated. It was considered a true victory in the sense of that we had put down an evil force that we knew was the evil intent on taking over not only the world but all of Europe, and Japan, all of Asia, because Japan at the time, even though China was much larger than Japan, they hadn't geared up for war like Japan had. So people were celebrated when they came back from World War II. Whereas in the Vietnam War and starting with actually like the Korean conflict, there was no real clear victory in the Korean conflict. There was just a demarcation, a line. So when those veterans came back from serving, they weren't treated to the same type of ticker tape parades that went across the nation when the World War II veterans returned. And when the Vietnam veterans returned, there was a great protest against the war. And there were many people, like I had myself, when I walked down the street in my uniform, I got hit with eggs, pelted with eggs.
I'd like to say something about that too. I think when the World War II Museum opened in New Orleans, there was a section of the World War veterans talking about the nightmares they were still having 40 years later about the war. And I watched a veteran in Pennsylvania at a Memorial Day service talk about his thing and break down crying. So a lot of World War II veterans carried the same sort of nervous problems that only the society didn't recognize it, didn't want to hear about it. I know in the case of, I'm a Vietnam veteran, I know in the case of Vietnam veterans, we didn't talk about the war for 20 years. We didn't talk about the war actually till the wall was built in Washington. We weren't welcome when we came back. I took a train of over 800 troops from Kansas to Oakland in 1966. I was train commander. We went through California and I had to have guards at the doors of every door in the train to make sure either that my people didn't get out to ride, or people didn't get into ride. Now we're American soldiers riding through America, and here we are defending in a defensive mode. So it was hard. And let me say something else. I don't know how many other people here have been in combat, but I'll say this without fear of contradiction. If a person's been in combat and they came home, they left a piece of themselves there. And I think anybody who tells you they haven't is either not being honest with themselves or they're lying. You can't go there and not leave a piece of yourself there.
Well, thank you very much, Chuck. And I'm afraid we're going to have to call time. As informative and helpful as this is, it is also, I find it very healing to discuss this in an open setting like this. But we are looking at the clock, and I'm afraid we're kind of needed to be guided by that. So again, Glenn, thank you for the wonderful presentation. Very informative, and do appreciate it. So we wish you well, and we look forward to you sending that link to Norman so that we can be able to make use of that link.
I will be sending that link to Norman today. Thank you, each and every one of you. It's been my pleasure to come to the Lions Club, and I just think it's just fantastic, especially at this time of the year that you think about learning more about veterans. I just want to say to Chuck, welcome home, brother. And yeah, you went through that, but now is the time for healing. And the last thing I just wanted to say, and then I'll let it go. The other thing was in World War II, they didn't have PTSD. They had battle fatigue.
Yeah.
That's what they called it. And, and so our shell shock, your severe form of PTSD was called shell shock in those days, but it was all PTSD.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Norma?
Rudy, can I just interrupt
Yes.
a little bit? We still have a couple of questions from some people. I don't know, Glenn, are you able to stay a little bit more online so that we can maybe answer those questions? Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, as soon as Rudy wraps up, then we'll get back to you if you don't mind. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you, Rudy.
Yes, thank you, Leonore. Norman, let me get it back to you. Could you tell us about next week's program, please?
Okay, this is great. I really enjoyed this program. Next week, we're going to have Dr. Amanda Adams, who's been working with bats for 17 years, and she's traveled to every continent except Antarctica to work with bats. She now teaches at Texas A&M University and the Conservation Research Program Manager for Bat Conservation International. Her research focuses on bat echolocation, behavior, ecology, and conservation. Bats are one of the most diverse groups of mammals on the planet. Part of what makes them fascinating is their diversity, but also how important they are to ecosystems all over the world. Zoom in with us at next Thursday's Austin Founder Lions Club meeting to learn more about what makes these amazing animals the rock stars of the night.
All right. Norman, could you build it up any more than that?
Well,
Norman, can you guarantee?
No bats in Antarctica? What?
Can you guarantee us the presentation won't drive us batty?
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, thanks to our speaker, Glenn. And if Glenn will just give us a few more minutes after we adjourn, anyone that still would like to visit with Glenn with a question, he is kind enough to stay with us. So not having any other business, I now call this meeting of the Lions Club adjourned. Y'all have a good one then.
Thank you, Rudy. We had a question from Robert Seidel. Go ahead, Robert.
Glenn, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Robert.
I happen to be a therapist, and I noticed you didn't mention working with a therapist is one of the things veterans seem to seek out. And I didn't know if that's because the VA is not good at that or that they see that as weakness. But I know in the treatment of depression, working with a therapist can be very, very helpful. So
Are you an art therapist or just a
psychotherapist, social worker, clinical social worker?
Well, I had, speaking for myself, I really value therapists. My major breakthrough that I had for myself came through a therapist that scheduled one-on-one sessions with me for more than a year. And it was during that process, and that was here in Austin, and I've been suffering for many, many years, but it was through that process that I finally gained insight, a real insight into what was eating at me and why. And, when you can see the boogeyman, he's not as bad because you kind of understand that, what's there and what's driving it.
Yeah.
So I think what you do as a therapist is just phenomenal. I don't even know how therapists do it because they listen, you hear a lot, and I know you must experience what you hear on some level.
Uh-huh.
So thank you.
Okay.
Robert, could I add to what Robert's excellent question? Not just because I have a lot of veterans in my family, but others that have experienced serious depression and related mental illnesses. And it's very interesting. We found the role of the therapist, and while we had visited psychiatrists and psychologists all over the country, we found that the combination of recommendations from a psychologist, psychiatrist, and the medication helpful, but the role of the therapist, one-on-one, but group therapy, was invaluable. And I think meant more to these particular individuals in giving them hope and helping them recover than probably anything. It was probably a combination of all of the above, but the role of the therapist in group or even individual therapy is, in our experience, just truly invaluable. And I just wanted to add that to Robert's question and to you, Mr. Towery.
That's great. Well, fantastic. And we're looking for some kind of way to incorporate a therapist on our channel, but we just haven't been able to figure out, how to do it. So if you know of anyone who may be interested, please contact us. And we would love to be able to sit down, figure out how we can make it work in a way that would be beneficial to not only to veterans, but veterans' family members. And as a therapist, I know that you understand that they go through a lot as well. A lot of times as much as the veteran.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Well,
presentation.
I'm asking too many questions, but one thing I wanted to add was, in addition to the assistance to the veterans, my experience with so many veteran family members, the families of the veteran needs an awful lot of support and attention, in addition to the veteran that may be the individual actually suffering from the PSTD or whatever it may be. And I remember my oldest uncle, and man, this was a long time ago, but the effect it had on my grandmother and grandfather when they got notice that he had been on the USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor and had died. And that letter from President Roosevelt and that ghost star in the window made an impression on me for a long time. But I felt like, in a way, though they had 9 other children, including my mother, I felt like they were never the same, because nobody even thought about what kind of support the family member of the veteran needs.
Yeah. We really need to encourage the VA to create more. They have some now, but to create some better programs for family members. We really do. I've heard some very sad stories in that regard. I don't want to really go into it, but it's really needed.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see anybody else. Glenn, thank you so much for staying on and for answering these last ones and these last comments. It was a wonderful program. Thank you for what you did. I'm not an American. I'm a foreigner, but I really admire what you guys do and the love that you have for your country and what you do, as you said, for people that you don't even know. So that to me is just absolutely amazing. So hats off to you and thank you for your service. Rudy, passing it on back to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your service.
Well, likewise, thank you for your service. I'm also a Vietnam vet, so I can relate to that. But I appreciate what you, your take on World War II versus the other wars. We had Rosie Riveter doing, home soldiering, because the whole country was at war. Now, at present time, our country has been at war for 8 years, but we don't feel it. We've been at war with Afghanistan for forever, the longest war in our history, and yet the difference between the country being united in an effort to win versus World War II. So I appreciate your take on all of that. And it just, the world continues to change. So we just have to kind of work with that. Anyway, it is time for us to kind of close. Leonora has been our host. Thank you so
Leonora.
much for staying with us. Y'all enjoy, stay safe, and I hope to see you next Thursday.
Okay, God
Bye,
bless you all.
everybody. You
Bye-bye.
too. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
You too.